Hi, it's Kirk. It's great to be with you for another edition of Helix Studios Today, and this is one of the veterans of Helix. And what I got to find out is how, after starting in 2014, he still looks 20 years old. It's amazing. It's Travis Stevens. Welcome, and what is the secret to the fountain of youth that you found?
Howdy. There's no secret fountain of youth, just lots of sunscreen.
You are, again, in the Helix Studios calendar. You are June.
Yeah.
What do you think of your look for this year?
I'm living for this picture. This is
Now,
when I had my hair all long and wavy.
one of the things that Josh Brady mentioned to me is his favorite scene, the one that came right to his mind, and it involved you, and I think you know which one that is.
Yeah, the one with me and Ashton. Yeah, all DPs.
I watched that scene, and I was like, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. You and Ashton came together with your cocks together. How in the world did you guys pull that off? Did you choreograph what must be one of the hottest scenes ever in gay adult entertainment?
Well, we were dating at the time for like a few months, and so we knew we needed to come at the same time, and I figured I could get myself close, and then he could just get us the rest of the way there, and that's what happened.
And that scene won some awards, didn't it,
Yeah.
in 2019? What did it win?
Favorite DP or best? I think it's favorite DP
Now-
at the Straight Up Awards.
Double penetration is something that probably most gay men have always thought about, wanted, but never really able to get it together. What advice, because you guys, obviously you're a professional at this, what advice would you give to men who want to try it?
Well, you have to want it real bad, and you have to find two guys with pretty long dicks. They can't really be like too short. They'd be pretty long to reach up in there to really achieve a true DP. Just go for it, I would say.
Now, what's the difference between pleasure and pain when you're DP?
Oh, well, there's a fine line. There's just one moment when you're getting DP'd where it goes from, okay, they're going to have to stitch me up after this, to, ooh, here we are.
How do you explain your longevity versus some guys that might just come, try it, and say, it's not the right line of work for them? But you've been around, as you said, for so long. How do you explain that?
So my real studio work started with Helix, but my original, I guess, person who found me was Jason Sparks. And he told me a long time ago that if I wanted to progress in this industry and have it be a career, that I needed to advance my body type. So I started as a twink, very twinky, and he told me, like, when you're 25-ish, you should be like a muscle jock, and when you're like starting to get into your 30s, starting to get a little more salt and pepper, like get a little bit more of a beard, be more of a daddy kind of thing, and like when you're in your 40s, like be a daddy and like go for it.
Do you anticipate continuing, though, in the industry?
I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years now.
Wow. Now, you mentioned you're 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 25 years old. Does that mean Helix fans won't be seeing that much of you going forward? Or how much more time do you expect you'll be with Helix?
You know, I was kind of thinking about that the other day. I was watching the House Bunny, and she said, I'm 28. That's like 57 in bunny years. So I thought, well, I'm 25. That's like 40 in Helix years for sure.
All right, as we speak here, I don't know this question, but I'm assuming that you've got a shoot or have had a shoot already here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Can you give us any preview of what you've been doing?
We had a new guy this time come around, and oh, he's so hot. He looks like one of those like really hot boys off TikToks that like you just have to have.
Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Asher is what they landed on.
Asher.
Yeah.
You mean Travis Stevens is not your real name?
No.
Believe it, I actually use mine because at my age, I've got nothing to hide.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually surprisingly have a porn name in real life.
Let's talk about the early days of your career. I looked it up, had to go back in the archives with Troy Ryan. What was it like when you did that first scene with Troy? He was one of the top tops back in those days, and you bottomed for him, and now I guess you've progressed as we've gone along to be, what, would you call yourself mostly a top now?
Yeah, both performing and in my real life, I would consider myself more of a top.
Oh my gosh!
Which back then I was more of a bottom, so it's fun.
Wow, you were barely legal, as they say.
Yeah.
Always check the ID. That's
yeah.
for
Oh
sure.
yeah, 100% always check.
How was it doing that first scene with Troy? What was your feeling, your emotions that you were going through?
Well, I was a little nervous, of course, as any of us would be for a first scene or doing anything on camera the first time. I was very comfortable, but oh my God, his dick is huge. It's so big. It's like a Coke can, but a little longer. It's like one of those long Coke cans. Like one of those Trulies, like the big Trulies.
Oh my gosh, now he's going to get a bunch of hits and new followers on Twitter.
Yeah. Truly's going to hit him up for sponsorship.
Do you find yourself, like you mentioned, the new talent? What was his name again?
Asher.
So he's a new guy. You're the veteran. Do you even remember off the top of your head about how many scenes you've done?
Honestly, no. It's like 30, 40.
Wow.
Maybe 50. I'm not really sure.
Keep listening. The exact number, as of this recording, is coming up.
All right, so now do you find yourself as the one who is coaching Asher and the other new guys that are coming along to kind of smooth their nerves and make it easier for them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like any question he had, I was answering or making sure he was comfortable. Or
How do you make sure that when you guys are cast together that there's a mesh that you can create that erotic energy that we see on screen?
Well, there's usually at least like a day or two before our scenes with someone that we get to meet them and kind of hang out a little bit, at least 5, just a little bit at least. I mean, usually there's sometimes 5 or 6 days we'll be out here hanging out with each other and like actually becoming friends, and then we shoot a scene and it's like so hot because the whole time I wanted to fuck them, but we can't fuck them before the scene because that's like our only rule here.
So how long before each scene do you go without coming so you have a good shot to deliver?
Well, for me, it can go either way. So if I go like a week without coming, sometimes it'll be like so thick that hardly anything will come out. But sometimes it'll be like the day before I'll have come, but like just the sex is so hot or the scene is so hot, I just come everywhere and it's a lot.
How do you, especially as a top, how do you time it so you don't come too soon? Or, how do you guys get in sync?
It was definitely a lot harder in the early days of porn, but for instance, like now, even like in my personal life, it's kind of weird to have sex with a camera off.
Really?
So having the camera actually makes it easier for me, and it makes it feel like more of a performance that I'm giving. So if I know I'm giving a good performance, like kind of gets me off better, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Because you guys do a pretty good job. I mean, it can be that cutaway and stuff, but why is it always, it seems like it's always, that the bottom comes first? Is that kind of the cue for you to get ready to come when the bottom comes?
That is exactly what it is. We usually are fucking them hard in whatever last position it is. We ask them, so-and-so, how do you like to come? And then when the top answers, we're like, not you. And so it's however the bottom wants it, and like we...
in that position. Then.
Yeah, and then once they come, and then it's our cue to build up and go.
How do you deal with this? Because I remember back myself as a young gay man, women just throw themselves at us. You must have to get a fly swatter and just stay away, ladies, stay away.
Well, like I kind of look a little masked, and like I drive my car like an asshole, and like I'm kind of buff, and I look like kind of straight or whatever, but the second I open my mouth, I'm like, hey, and they're like, oh, yeah, he's gay.
Speaking of that, way back in episode 1, we spoke to Garrett Kinsley. And
love him. He's such a witch bitch, crazy fag. What a flamer.
Do you have any rebuttal to his comments about, speaking those words?
I definitely am a gay witch bitch, like he said, but yeah, he's probably like 5'9", 5'8", and I only know that because I'm 6'3", and I hang out with a lot of people who are 5'9", 5'8".
Well, that gives you that power top vibe.
Oh, I know.
On.
I actually like really like being as tall as I am. I love being tall.
Oh, yeah. What made you do it? What gave you the courage or the inspiration to say, yeah, I am going to try to take off my clothes and do hot sex for thousands, if not millions of men and women, and give this a try for a career?
I was just sitting at home on Grindr one day, and I was doing construction for my dad. I'm sitting there on the couch covered in pink insulation. And,
that sounds hot.
And Pookie, which is like the sealant you use for HVAC duct. Yeah, it's great. I'm covered in insulation and Pookie. Yeah, in Texas. I'm itching. Like I just took a shower, and like it's still all on me. And this really hot guy on Grindr is like, oh, I'm so-and-so, and I do porn for this company. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I thought, okay, he's fake. The Law and Order dun-dun went off in my head. I was like, okay, cool. He's going to try and rape me.
Right.
Awesome. And then he said, no, this is like, here's a picture of me, like, holding up a peace sign, like, right now. Like, I'll come smoke a bowl with you, like, no funny business, and, like, you just get to meet me. He came over to my house, and we smoked a bowl, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, he's not a murderer. I guess I'll go down to this hotel in downtown Austin and film for his little studio. And I did. Then I got picked up by Helix, and here we are.
Now that you mentioned smoking a bowl, I think that now I'm so pure and naive that Could that possibly mean marijuana?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it does? Okay.
I'm heavy with the devil's lettuce.
Yeah, well, we are here in Nevada where marijuana is in fact legal. Outside of marijuana, there really is no drug usage per se on the Helix, in the Helix houses.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to do with this podcast is to get some of the negativity off the industry, because I think what it does, and you want to comment on this too, does it help people to have more sex positivity in the world? Do you feel that you're almost, for a lot of people, especially folks that maybe are in small towns, grew up in conservative backgrounds, young men with extreme fundamentalism that would say, oh, being gay is a sin. Mm-hmm. Do you feel this is actually helping those folks?
Oh, absolutely. I know it is. And I know it like when I go home to like my parents' ranch on the lake or whatever, and we go on the lake, and I go out there with my dainty little yellow Speedo and my big sun hat and my quirky wedges, and all of my nieces and nephews are looking at me like, why is he wearing the same bottoms as their mom? And my dad is like, go take that shit off, like go change. Like, it's very annoying. To know that the younger generation is not going to have to deal with that as much is really cool. Like, I've got a nephew, and he didn't even have to come out. Like, everyone just like knew he was gay, accepted he was gay. He just became a gay person, and he just lived his life, and nobody ever like expected him to tell them he was gay. He never had to hide it. It was really cool.
You mentioned your parents. So how do they feel now? I imagine it was probably an interesting experience when you first came out, or did, because of your mannerisms, which I think are pretty hot. How did they respond to that at that time?
Well, my mom and dad both have a gay brother, so that made it very easy for me. Like, they weren't anti-gay per se. Like, my dad wanted me to have an easy life, and he told me, don't live your life out loud, which here I am living as out loud as I possibly can, and I'm having the best time doing it. And my mannerisms, I talk with my hands a lot. I definitely move my head, my face, my hips when I talk. They accepted it pretty decently. They didn't accept me doing porn very well. I was disowned for 4 years for it. Well, 3.5, 4 years. And, like, my brother and sister had kids during that time. They got married. Like, there was a lot that I was disincluded from. And then they just decided one day, let's stop disincluding me for sex work. And it's non-spoken. Like, we don't talk about it, but they know what I do, and they accept it because they know that it makes me very successful, and I don't have to ask them for money or anything ever.
Can you see, in the time that you started with Helix to now, can you see an evolution in the way people perceive, I know it's porn, but I like to call it gay adult entertainment.
Yeah.
Do you see an evolution in the way that people perceive it?
Yes, definitely. Like, my parents, whenever they first found out I was doing it, I'm pretty sure they thought that I was doing it because I was like a sex addict, or because like I was some deviant or some kind of bad person. And now they realize that it is a job, just like other jobs, and they don't mind it.
I think most people, whether they admit it or not, the thought has crossed their mind. Man, woman, no matter what your gender identity is, your pronoun choice, you've thought about doing this. But
you don't even know how many people have told me, oh, I would do exactly what you're doing if I had an extra inch, or if I had an extra couple inches, I'd be doing porn too.
Would you encourage, because, there are probably people that are listening to this, and they're driving around the car, they're taking a walk, they're listening to their headsets, and they may still be 22, 24, and why should I do it? Why give them an idea, give them a little motivation of why they should pull the trigger, and you only live once, and give it a try.
Why not? Because if people are going to, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind what you're doing. And I would say that any like young 18 to 22-year-old that wants to do porn, don't do it and just call me instead. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely.
You're not going to give out your number, though. That's the problem. It's number
512. I'm just
That's
kidding.
right.
No, I think absolutely. What could I say to encourage people?
But do you really want the competition? I guess it's good to have the new hot guys.
I mean, gorgeous next to cute. Gorgeous is going to devour cute.
Some people have such a bad image that adult performers are coerced. They're basically like, I did an interview with one of our new talents, Jeremy Hall, and he would say, it's not like we're being held in a cage.
No, but we applied.
At the end of the podcast, I said, okay, Jeremy, we'll let you out now.
You can get out of your cage.
Get out of your cage. But explain a little to people the whole work environment of what it's like to come in and do a scene or two with Helix, and kind of what the one thing people say, oh, there's got to be horrible working conditions. What are the working conditions like?
Well, I have worked for other studios in the past, just to do like a comparison. When I've worked for other large studios, I fly in. I don't get to meet anybody. An Uber is sent in my name. I get in the Uber. I go to a hotel. I don't get to tell anybody what I'm doing. It's very hush-hush. It kind of feels like I'm doing something dirty. I don't get to hang out with the other performers. I don't get to like have any kind of camaraderie or like friendship with these people that I'm going to film with. And then I'm there. There's not that it should matter too much, but like most of the people there are straight, and so it doesn't make me very comfortable. And then I come out here, and there's a high level of professionalism, but there's also like a sense of like, I don't want to say like fraternity, because like that has negative connotations.
I would say, for what I've seen, without the extreme heavy drinking.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's totally like a fraternity. These are like my brothers and my friends. And
how do you focus when you've got, I guess it's just a couple of people there?
Yeah.
You know,
it's not how it is in the movies where there's a sound guy, a teleprompter, like 5 makeup guys. There's no fluffers. That's a myth.
No. Oh, gosh, my fantasy is now gone. My fantasy is now ruined. But still, even with a couple of people there, and you've clearly been able to do it, how do you get into the moment of pretending they're not there and put your full energy into that scene?
For me, as interesting as it may sound, it's if they're a really good kisser, it can really take me out of the fact that I'm doing a scene, and I can just get into kissing them and feeling on their bodies, and then I start getting horny, and then it just feels natural for me. But also, Max and Alex are like amazing at what they do. Like,
they're the
Alex
directors.
is like tiny. Yeah. Have you met Alex?
Yes, I have.
Like, he's a little dude, and
Right.
so like I'll be on the bed sometimes, and I'll kind of see the light moving from his camera, but he will be able to he'll step onto the bed, duck under a ceiling fan, like somehow shimmy around, get every angle he needs, and I won't even realize that he's stepped on the bed. Like he's like a little poor ninja. So it definitely makes it easy whenever I'm filming with Alex, because I don't even realize he's there half the time, unless he like waves at me like to try and get my attention.
How does it feel to have a job? I mean, I would say almost in some level, it's similar to, say, bringing up a pro athlete, because you are living the life that it's not an extreme exaggeration to say that millions of men, and for that matter women, imagine having this life. You have been doing this for 7-8 years now, and look like, by the way you look, you have a great future ahead of you. So how does it feel? Do you realize that you have a job that millions fantasize about having?
Oh no, I literally wake up every day and I'm so thankful that I figured out how to monetize my lifestyle. Like, it makes me so happy that I don't have to get in my car and drive 40 hours and go do the things that everybody else in the world has to do. I mean, I have to pay my taxes, and that's freaking annoying.
I noticed that you just have like one tattoo. Is it over your left or right?
That's the one you see. That's like right there. But my hand is done. I've got my
You know
hand.
what? I didn't know. Yeah, look at that. What is the story behind the two on your hand, or the one on your hand and the one on your forearm?
So the one in my hand is the flower of life, which is an ancient symbol that's found in like all kinds of ancient places like Mesopotamia, the pyramids, like jungles in China and stuff. Like it's a symbol that humanity has created over and over and over in different cultures that haven't had contact with each other, and all cellular growth kind of follows this pattern. I like acid a lot, and so whenever I'm starting to trip, whenever I look at my hand and it starts to wave and kind of move a little bit, so this is like my trip indicator.
My significant other, he will not let me do acid. It's
Why?
I don't know. I will play this for him.
I was clinically depressed for 4 years, and I took every antidepressant that they could throw at me, all the SSRIs, everything. And like those are terrible because like they made it to where I couldn't come.
Right.
Like I wasn't horny.
Mm-hmm.
They made me gain weight. One day I did a tab of acid, and it cured my clinical depression, and I haven't had to go back on any kind of mood stabilizers or SSRI since. One good analogy I have for it is like your neurons, constantly reinforce connections with each other. So like when you go skiing and you go down a mountain and you go down that same path as another skier has gone, that path gets reinforced. And pretty soon that path is going to be so deep you can't really leave that path. That's your neurons that are like stuck in a certain pattern. So like you could be stuck in depression or mania or bipolar or all kinds of things because of your nerves being a certain way. And my favorite analogy for this would be acid is like a fresh coat of snow. And it comes down and it enables your neurons to connect with each other in a completely different way. And you can see things as they truly are.
I love hearing that because one of the things that I truly believe, I tried to be who I wasn't for many years. I mean, I've got 2 great kids out of it. That's the only positive thing. But pretty much everything else about it is negative because I felt it would hurt my career. I mean, I was on CNN. I was on TV in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah, I was
okay.
Back about the time you were born.
So it wasn't just to keep the wife and kids. It was for the career, too?
It's for the career because I was worried if I tried to do what I wanted to do that, I'm not going to be on worldwide TV.
Yeah, no.
Which sounds more glamorous than it is in real life.
Yeah.
But I have found that since I was true to myself and came out, that was a tremendous help. But I had kind of the same thing. People would say, because I was depressed because you're living a fake life.
Yeah.
And I think that trying to get more sex positivity, being a role model for a lot of people out there, my true belief is if people would just get laid 2 or 3 times a week, whether it's straight, whether it's gay, as long as it's consensual kink, whatever it
yeah,
is,
whatever it is,
it would eliminate 50% of the mental health disorders in the country. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, that's just BS. But I think that is actually true because...
No, people are definitely pent up.
Oh, and for somebody like me who tried to be straight for so long, the difference between straight sex and gay sex, which is my true self, I can't even really put into words. Have you? Oh, speaking of that,
I was about to say, yeah.
Have you? I know there's one scene that was fairly recent where Garrett, your buddy Garrett, he woke up in bed with a woman.
Yeah, yikes.
Did you see that scene?
I did.
It's like, has that eventuality ever happened to you?
I did lose my virginity to a girl. I'm not a golden gay.
Oh, you don't have a gold star.
No, I'm not. I'm not a gold star gay.
So you can compare the difference.
Yeah, I had girlfriends in high school, and I had straight sex, and it was like, oh, okay, this is cool and all. And then I got fucked the first time, and I was like, wow, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the first time I had my asshole licked. I was like, yeah, I'm gay.
All right, God. If I was only 35 years younger. We digressed there, but I think this is just what we're going for here with this podcast, because you can believe it or not. You can say, oh, that's BS or not, but we're throwing that out there to show that you guys are not just hot, but you got a brain, too, to go along with that.
We are very hot, though. We'll be clear. I'm very hot.
Oh, you are. You are. All right, now finish up here. You had the one, I love that story. The hand tattoo went in a whole different direction than I thought it would. What about the forearm?
Yeah, my tattoos mean a lot to me. I don't just get pretty ones. This is the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. So all pretty things in nature follow this pattern, and I'm a pretty thing in nature. Like the Mona Lisa, for instance, if you lay this on top of the Mona Lisa, like it goes on her face perfectly. That's why it's such a famous piece of art. Photographers all the time, like you can lay a grid on a camera to like show you where you're looking at, but you can also overlay the Fibonacci sequence a lot of times because it helps by putting a subject and like putting your background over yonder, and it like looks really good.
All right, how about the one that people see on I guess it's on your collarbone, I guess.
Yeah.
Did that hurt, by the way?
Yeah, when the artist told me that he was going to go up by my bone, it was going to get spicy, and it was spicy. It was very spicy.
Where'd you have that done? Was that in Texas?
That was actually in California whenever I was living out there for a while. This is my first tattoo.
What's the story behind it?
So my real name is Calvin. I was named after Calvin and Hobbes.
Were you really?
Yeah, and so this is my dead tiger hide. This is a laid out tiger hide on my collarbone, so this is my Hobbes.
You mentioned California. How do you like the difference between working in San Diego, where Helix used to be, versus Vegas, where Helix is now?
I definitely like it a lot better here in Vegas. Yeah,
really?
For sure.
Why is that?
When we went to San Diego, we had to use condoms out in San Diego. That was lame.
Speaking of that, I truly believe in PrEP, pre-exposure prophylactic for HIV. And I know you guys, this is something I know a lot of people wonder about. What kind of testing protocol do you guys have before your scenes?
So we go through talent testing service. And that's a very safe database that we can go through where people aren't going to find out our real names. I think there was like a leak way back when people found out a bunch of porn stars' real names. That won't happen with us. But we get what's called a gold panel, a gold standard panel. Yeah, GSP, gold standard panel. And they literally test us for everything. They test us for HIV, chlamydia, syphilis. They test us for even like only vaginal STDs that we can only get from having sex with women. And
Wow.
they even test us for those, even though obviously none of us have those.
Right.
And COVID, of course. We're all COVID tested. But you were mentioning PrEP. I'm kind of like on the fence about that, because I know that giving people PrEP and preventing HIV is crucial in our world.
Sure.
But also at the same time, it's a very intense drug to just be throwing on people. Like, for instance, Truvada shut down my liver and Descovy shut down my kidneys.
Well,
so I can't take PrEP.
There are a lot of personal injury attorneys that would love to speak with you about that. Yeah.
Well, I'm not an ambulance chaser. I'm fine.
Well, there's different protocols now for that, because there's one thing that's called a 2-1-1. So if you know you're going to have an encounter, you can take one pill before, one pill after, and then just one each of the next 2 days. And that should, and here again, this is not medical advice. Be sure and check with your healthcare professional.
Your healthcare provider, yeah.
But that is something that I think is very important for people. If somebody's trying to deal with their sexuality, they're on Grindr or Tinder or whatever, it's still not a reason to not take care of your personal health. Because
and if you are having a lot of unprotected sex and you're having a lot of partners, then absolutely you should be on PrEP. And if your body is able to take it, then fucking take it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, there are also new varieties of that too.
Yeah. The Descovy is like way less intense on like your liver, and it was only on my kidneys that it
Kidney
messed me
issues,
up.
sure. Never did I think that we would get into a pharmacology discussion. Doing
yeah.
a adult entertainment podcast here. Before we got started, I say, what do you do? Try to do a mic check. What did you have for breakfast? And is that one of the protocols? I guess if you're a bottom, most bottoms don't eat the day of the scene. Is that
false? Bad bottoms don't eat before the scene.
Bad bottoms don't.
Well, the scenes last over an hour or two sometimes, and if you're in there and you're all lightheaded because you haven't eaten anything but Rice Krispies 2 days ago, I mean, it's not gonna look as good.
Have you gotten to the down and dirty where the dirty comes out when you're topping someone?
Yeah,
and that's you guys are okay.
Shit happens.
There you go. This has been shit happens with this show.
But we'll be clear, it rarely happens at Helix. Almost never does it happen here.
And yes, Travis does have a backup plan.
I'm training to be a pilot currently.
Are you really?
Yeah, they don't care.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
I was a porn star.
Let's talk
am
about
a
that
porn star.
for a second. What are you flying? What are you learning to fly in?
I'm learning on a Scout, a little yellow tail wheel Scout.
A tail dragger.
Yeah, tail dragger.
Oh my gosh, those are great to learn in.
Very scary, especially whenever she cut the fuel line. Well, she didn't cut it, but she stopped the fuel whenever we were way in the air the other day, and it was shortly after takeoff.
Were you flying in Texas?
Yeah.
Where you get some of those thunderstorms, get some of those towering cumulonimbus.
Yeah, that's what's preventing me from doing my testing.
Get your instrument, because
Yeah.
that's what you got to get is your instrument
I'm
rating.
actually very nervous about my instrument rating.
Instrument is tough because you'll fly with the hood, and your flight instructor, your CFI, certified flight instructor, they do good. They pretend they're asleep and let you totally screw up unless it's life-threatening, and then they intervene. So yeah, flying is a wonderful, great experience. What I got to ask you must be a fire sign. What's your birthday?
I am a Sagittarius.
Oh, I knew it! Oh my gosh, I knew it! I could pick that up.
Yeah.
You're like I feel. I've just
Leo
met
rising.
you. I just met you, but I feel like you're like my. I'm going to use the word I don't like to use. My porn son.
We'll be twin flame. That's better.
What's that?
Twin flame.
Twin flame. Yes, one's a little dimmer than the other. I think yours is a little brighter.
So, how many scenes has Travis done with Helix?
You've done 55. All right, but you still got to keep going, because I checked.
55. Wow.
Back in the day, Evan Parker. Did you ever do a scene with Evan?
No.
How did you not do a scene with
I got to do a scene
Evan?
with Tyler. So I had like 4 people that I always wanted to do a scene with. It was Kyle and Max, and Evan and Tyler.
Right.
And I got to do a scene with Max, and I got to do a scene with Tyler. I didn't get to do a scene with the other 2.
Oh, no. But Evan, I counted him up, and he had over 100. So you still got
That was actually probably one of my first gay porn scenes that I ever jerked off to was Evan and Tyler. And I remember it was Tyler was doing homework, and Evan comes to the door and distracts him. And then he distracts him, But yeah, I remember that scene very specifically. Like, I was like, oh, wow, we're on Pornhub. I'm watching an actual gay porn scene. Hello.
Well, I think that you do tremendous work, and I think it is work to be celebrated. I've drank the Kool-Aid. I think it's very...
You drank the gay frog water?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
If
know.
I ever open a bar, my signature cocktail will be gay frog water.
This has been great. What haven't we covered? We've covered everything. How about our siblings? You mentioned you had siblings, so tell me how many.
I'm one of 5.
5. Wow. Any of your siblings gay, by the way?
No.
Oh, one of the last thing I've got here that I even had on the list here, there's always people say, oh, those guys are just gay for pay. They're not really gay. Every talent, every model you see on screen is in fact gay.
Or bi.
Or bi,
Yeah.
right. Or bi. That's a good point.
We have a few bisexual performers.
Any last thing, any other scenes besides the one we talked about that stick out in your mind?
This one that I just filmed with Troy Akala, he returned to Helix, and ooh, I'm glad he did. So hot.
So this has been a hot experience here on a hot Nevada afternoon talking.
Yeah, it's hot as hell out there.
It is, but I love the heat. I love the heat.
Oh, me too. Yeah, that's why I stay in Texas.
Anything else that we didn't cover in this extended version here?
Call your mothers. Call your moms. They miss you.
Oh, that is so nice. That is so nice. Can't wait to see you in action. And, of course, he's Mr. June 2022.
Oh, I'm excited for that calendar.
Oh, it's Travis Stevens. It's been great. Thank you so much for joining us on Helix Studios today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.